So I'm Dan Rozinski. I'm a technology fellow at Dow. We are now Dow Inc., not Dow Chemical, not DuPont, not Corteva. So as those of you who follow the industry, we had quite a tumultuous couple of years, but we are now our own entity. We are standing tall and proud and going out as a material science company. So, Dow is, we've had quite a bit of change. And while we've been doing the organizational changes and these companies merging and then demerging, we've also had this digital transformation journey. So I'm only going to cover a couple of slides and talk a little bit about some things that I'd like to highlight that were maybe mentioned by some of the other panelists, but that we've really got a job to wrestle with. So a little of my background, I'm a chemical engineer. I spent my whole career in the chemical industry. Either on the solution side with people like IBM and Aspen Tech, or on the chemical producing side, Hercules and Roman Haas, and now Dow. And for those of you who don't know, besides being a cool title, technology fellow is a cool title. It's sort of like a research fellow, but in manufacturing operations. The idea is Dow and other companies, face immense challenges in the area of manufacturing and engineering. And some of those challenges, a lot of those challenges are not organizational, or they're not people, and they're not culture. They all have a part, but some of them truly are technical challenges. And so the Technology Fellow program at Dow is a group of people that have kind of raised to the top level of technical achievement and technical career ladder in Dow, and have kind of the equivalent position to kind of people leaders at senior director and vice president. So the idea in Dow was to create alternate paths. The conventional wisdom was to become a rich and powerful and influential person in Dow. You had to go be a people leader, even if your technical skills were outstanding. And so we've created an alternate path that you can stay technical, right, and still impact the company in a major way without necessarily having a whole bunch of direct reports and having a whole organization. So that's the idea behind it. These slides will be available to you. We've covered all these. So one thing I want to bring out, and it was mentioned, I think Ricky, or no, maybe it was Stinson. Somebody had cyber physical on there, and maybe it was Francis. Yeah, it was Francis. And one of the things that we've found is it's a unique kind of inflection point right now in our journey. And that is, and it's almost a paradox. Increasing digitalization actually brings increasing physical threat. In the financial world, right, increasing digitalization brought increasing kind of in financial threat, right? It didn't necessarily threaten to burn your house down, but it threatened to clean out your bank account. But today, what digitalization is doing is it's opening up these avenues where physical harm can happen to either people or plants, equipment, communities, reputations, but physical harm can happen. And so one of Dow's big challenges over the last couple of years is to start embedding or start figuring out, as we move forward in digitalization, what does that mean for our physical security? And this year we're embarking on a big effort to look at process safety as part of that. So if you think of safety as physical safety, so keep people safe on ladders and on steps, and just the general physical safety of employees and assets. Process safety, which is we deal with some nasty chemicals, and so how do we keep that safe and how do we design it right? And then cybersecurity. We are starting to bring those three together, even to the point where I'm working with the organizations across those boundaries to start thinking about, okay, how does cyber affect physical? How does physical affect process? How does process affect cyber, and every which way? So there was going to be a panel here on process safety, which I would have loved, but we didn't have quite enough momentum. I expect next year there will be, because I think this is a growing area, and we see ISA and other organizations also looking at it. But this whole cyber physical approach or idea is one that kind of allows us to then step back with what Sid described as the business leaders pushing for digitalization. Right? I'm a big believer that we have to keep pushing forward, right? I'm a chemical engineer who's working in all these systems, right? So I had cybersecurity for manufacturing, and I also had something called the digital thread for Dow in manufacturing. One says open everything up, and the other says close everything down, right? So you got to find that balance. But I believe one of the big things we need to do, and what Dow is working on, is the idea that the foundational model for cybersecurity is not technology, right? The foundation of it is culture. The foundation is, if you told everybody in the room 15, well, however, maybe it's 20 years ago now, that you could give them online banking and they could move their money around and basically didn't tell them anything about the dangers of that, then everybody jumps into it, they make their password, right? And then suddenly bad things start happening. Well, we know that digitalization in the manufacturing world, some bad things can happen and have happened in various places. So culture and this idea that people understand that as they move forward and get these capabilities, they need to be building security in, just like you would with your own online bank account, right? And so that culture is not there in the vast majority of manufacturing sites in Dow or among the engineering community. So we got to do that. And then there's things you build on top of that. The middle is what ARC should be describing their model as, but they're not. So if you heard Sid this morning, that's the NIST model. It's the same stuff, so I don't know why, but it's neither here nor there. It's the same kind of stuff. But that standards base, what it allows us to do is not only have a way to organize internally how we're going to go about digitalization and look at those efforts, but it also allows us to communicate outwards to government agencies and to all sorts of other people that we are accountable to for having a license to operate our plants. So that's the power of that. It's not that it's a great framework. I mean, it's a good framework, but it gives us this common communication. We don't have to translate every time, oh, you know what, when we say protect, or, you know, we mean monitor or whatever, right? We don't have to do that. And finally, the comprehensive part is key. So a lot of people have talked about this idea that IT and OT need to come together. That can be very difficult to do, depending on the size of the organization and how long they've been in existence. But what we have found is you need people willing to cross that boundary and then leaders willing to support that, and we've got that. You'll hear Peter Halicki and Melanie Kalmar tomorrow if you come to the keynote. They'll talk about how they started. One's a CIO and the other's a VP of manufacturing. They started kind of a rocky road and since have really come together. So that's the kind of thing that you need. And I'll talk more about IT-OT convergence, I think, with Ricky on Wednesday afternoon. I can't remember if we're in the same panel or not. But these are some of the things. And like I said, one of the keys for me from a looking forward perspective is this idea of physical safety, process safety, and cybersecurity all starting to come together and what that means, right, if we do that and how we actually make that effective. So that's it.